Hi, everyone. Okay, so I'm going to show you just a brief example of how I would edit the project this weekend. Okay, so when you film on your camera, it is going to generate a video file that has visuals and also audio. So when you drop it onto your timeline, part of it will live above the median line and part of it will live above below. So you'll have visuals and audio. But you will also be recording on your lens hopper to get better audio. And when you record on your lens hopper to get better audio, you will generate just an audio file. It's really easy if you just press record on your camera and press record on your lens hopper at the same time. That way, you know, okay, these two are about the same length. And that way you can tell that they probably go together, right? So that's one of the easiest ways. Just press record similarly, like one and then the other. You'll be able to generate that to know that they're about the same size. Okay, but once we put it in Premiere, you need to sync them and then basically choose the better audio. So I'm going to show you how to do that right now. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. All right, so in draft one, I've dragged over my video file. You will see that it says V1 and A1. And then I also have the audio from my lens hopper. And I am just going to draw a little selection over all of it. I'm going to right click and go to this idea of synchronize. And I'm going to synchronize by its audio. So it's all going to synchronize by its audio. Then what happens is when I listen to it and watch it,
Megan, and they're films that are generally indie films.
It synced my audio, which is amazing, right? And if I solo, so there's two options down here. There's an M, which is mute. You can either mute your video, right? Or I can just solo the sound that I want to use. I'll go ahead and mute my video. That way now when we listen to it,
international films to make it commercial theaters, but we bring them here to provide an audience.
It looks synced. It sounds great. I feel good about it, right? So I am going to go ahead and just delete this space and pull it over. The one thing that you have to know, the one thing that's crucial to remember, let me see if I can expand this. The one thing that's really important to know is that when you are recording, when you are syncing your footage, you have to make sure that all of those clips have space on either side. So you cannot have, for example, if I had a lot of clips that were all on my timeline and they were right next to each other. Let me see if I can copy these. Like for example, I'll do this. If I wanted to move this right next to it, now if I wanted to go ahead and try to sync these clips, it wouldn't be able to do it because they're jammed right next to the things that are right next to it, right? So if I press OK, it might not work out correctly.
It would not come
because it wouldn't necessarily have space to move. So try not to do that. I think because I copied the version of it that was already synced, it happened. But what you don't want to do, yeah, so let's see if I can like kind of mimic a version of this. I do this and we'll get this out of whack. We'll go like this. And maybe we'll just kind of maybe extend this using a word like that. Okay. So, and we'll do maybe something like this. Give me 1 second. Okay. So for example, if I'm trying to sync these, there's stuff to the left and to the right of it. So if I were to go to sync it, it wouldn't be able to do anything. It wouldn't move.
international.
All right. I think, yeah, you might run into that problem. All right. Once you have it synced and you're feeling good about it,
Otherwise, because they don't make the big commercial theater.
I've muted my camera audio and I'm just using my lens hopper if my lens hopper is better sound. Now I'm going to go back to my foot at initially when I imported all my clips, I dropped them all onto one timeline, right? And I'm copying and pasting from my all sequence onto my draft one. That's always how we work. I just think it's easier to be able to very quickly go through and see like what I have on my timeline, right? This is like me letting you know how I film things sometimes, right? I filmed this last weekend. Okay. So here is where I'm just going to decide what kind of clips I want. And I'm going to go and look for some of the clips that I want to pull into my film, right? So maybe I'm going to kind of like move around and I'll press space bar. So I like kind of when it's a little out of focus, I'll Command K, space bar, and then Command V, copy. And then I'm going to paste it. Usually I paste it to the right of whatever's giving my film structure. And then I'm going to move up and down and kind of decide where I want that to go. Usually I will mute that sequence until I decide that I really want to have some of the sound. So in the future, let's say like I have a bunch of these little clips, and I'll create these sequences where they're all right next to each other. Maybe there's some really good sound. And so I'll pull that down and here, maybe like extend just that audio so that I can hear just that audio. And maybe I will gain and do like -10. So it just sets the environment. And then maybe I will add these audio crossfades so that it just like fades into it so that when we're seeing it,
International films to make it.
right? Maybe I want to hear some of the environment of the event itself. All right. This is what your timeline is going to look like. You're basically going to have the things that give your film structure, right? So your hosted bit, the people that you interview will be as close to that middle line right here as possible with the audio underneath that you will sync. And then on top of that, we will have B-roll to hide cuts to provide visual variety, and it will be really exciting there. Okay. And then when you're ready to export, file, export media, and you can just export it in the size that it is. So then you'll choose the location where you want to export it. You'll export it to your export folder within that project, and you'll be good to go. And that's the video that you will upload. All right. Thank you so much. And I will see you when I get back.